If you're like me, you probably learned the major scale completely wrong. The way most people teach it, those big, disconnected shapes across the neck, actually slows down your progress. Because here's the truth. The major scale isn't some new scale to learn. It's just 2 extra notes added to the pentatonic shapes that you already know. Once you see that connection, you'll finally understand how pros move so fluidly between those 2 worlds, the classic pentatonic sound and the melodic sound of major scale lines. So in this video, I'll show you exactly how to expand your 2 most important pentatonic shapes, what I call the landmark shapes, number 1 and number 4, straight into the major scale. And you can grab the diagrams and the backing track for this lesson down in the description below. Why this matters. Let's be honest, the pentatonic scale is king. It's been the backbone of guitar solos for decades. But if you've ever been soloing and heard a melody in your head that just wasn't in your scale, or you could hear the right note but you couldn't find it, that's where the major scale steps in. Those 2 extra notes open the door to more melodic options, targeting chord tones more precisely, and 3 notes per string, so you can play smoother, faster phrases. But to actually use the major scale musically, you've got to understand 2 things: when to use it and how to use it. When to use the major scale. To know when, you've got to understand the number system, basically which chords belong to a key. Every key has 6 main chords, 3 major chords, the 1, the 4, and the 5, and 3 minor chords, the 2, the 3, and the 6. For example, in the key of C major, I get C as the 1 chord, D minor is the 2 chord, E minor is the 3 chord, F is the 4 chord, G is the 5 chord, and A minor is the 6 chord, and that is the relative minor. If all of the chords in your progression fit that pattern, you're in key, and you can safely use the major scale over it. But if you spot chords that don't belong, you're probably dealing with another mode or a borrowed chord. In those moments, the easiest fix is to zoom out and use the pentatonic scale. It'll always sound safe. How to use the major scale. Now let's get practical. Most players are taught the major scale as a totally separate pattern, and that's the problem. Let's take C major. So if I find C on the E string, it's here at the 8th fret, and the first shape that most people learn looks like this. But this shape sits in a completely different spot than your go-to major pentatonic position. Here's what you actually need to know. The major scale is just your major pentatonic plus 2 notes, the 4th and the 7th degrees. So instead of learning an entirely new shape, we'll just build directly on what you already know. So remember this rule of thumb: minor pentatonic equals pointer, major pentatonic equals pinky. Find your C note on the low E string with your pinky, and that's where shape number 1 of your major pentatonic lives. Now add 2 notes, the 4th and the 7th, and you've got what I think of as the main major scale shape. This one shape gets used by the pros more than any other, for good reason. It's in the same location as your familiar pentatonic box, it's easier to memorize, and you can instantly switch between pentatonic and major scale sounds by adding or removing those 2 notes. So I'm going to start with just the C major pentatonic. Kind of bluesy sounding. If I want to add more melody, I can add those extra 2 notes, turn it into the major scale, and I get a lot more options. When I get 3 notes on a string, I have the option of playing a lot more like kind of fast flowing phrases. And it's not a better or worse thing. Sometimes I might want that melodic and sometimes I might want a stripped down, bluesier approach. But oftentimes, I bounce back and forth between those two worlds. Melodic major scale phrases and bluesy pentatonic phrases. So it makes sense that I would want those scale shapes to be in the same location. Expanding with shape number 4. So once you're comfortable with that, let's do the same thing with shape number 4, the other landmark pentatonic shape. So if you find C on the A string, that's at the 3rd fret or the 15th fret if you want to skip open strings. So we start with shape 4 of the major pentatonic. And I add those same 2 notes, the 4th and the 7th, and now you've got the second essential major scale shape. And again, I'll start with the C major pentatonic. Nice bluesy sound, but if I want to get it more melodic, I'll add those 2 major scale notes, and it gives me more options to choose from, a slightly more colorful sound. And I can bounce back and forth between those worlds. Bluesy and pentatonic. Melodic and major scale. And because A minor is the relative minor, the 6th chord of C major, everything that we learn transfers to the key of A minor. So if I have a song that starts with an A minor chord and all of the other chords from the song come from the key of C major, then I know I am truly in the key of A minor, and I can add these same 2 notes to my minor pentatonic shape. These 2 notes are different intervals when using it with a minor scale. They're the 2 and the flat 6. But the shape is the same. So if I have the A minor pentatonic scale, I can add the 2 and the flat 6 to get the full A minor scale. So I'll start with the A minor pentatonic scale. If add in the 2 and the flat 6, I get the same shape as before, and I get more melodic options. And the same holds true for shape number 4. Same shape. And I can bounce back and forth between the bluesier pentatonic or the full A minor scale. Together, these two expanded shapes, shape number 1 and shape number 4, will cover most everything that you need to solo musically across the neck. So here's your plan. First, learn the 2 landmark pentatonic shapes, shape number 1 and shape number 4. Second, add the 2 major scale notes, the 4th and the 7th. And third, use your ear and the number system to know when you're in a key. Do that and you'll move seamlessly between bluesy pentatonic phrases and melodic major scale phrases like a pro. And remember, you can download the free diagrams and backing track down in the description below. And if you want to learn the essential skills that the pros rely on, check out this video next. If you found this video helpful, hit like and subscribe. It helps this information reach even more players. Thanks. See you next week.